Hello. I really don't get why people do a race to the bottom. When the Tarkir commander decks came out, I was able to get these for less than $1 a piece. And I knew they were going to go up. I knew that this was not a card that was worth $1. Infantry Shield. Equipped creature has Menace and Mobilize X, where X is its power. This is a very unique effect in Magic the Gathering. There's only a few cards that create tokens equal to a creature's power. Like, off the top of my head, I can think of the Reaver Cleaver, the Wand of Orcus, and the Scepter of Celebration from New Capenna. Now, the Scepter of Celebration, that card's only worth a couple of bucks, but it's in green, and it creates citizen tokens. It does grant evasion, it grants trample, so the creature has a better chance of connecting and creating the tokens. But that's the thing about all the other ones, is that you actually have to connect with the Scepter Celebration, the Reaver Cleaver, and the Wand of Orcus. They all require you to actually hit an opponent to create the tokens. Infantry Shield gives you the tokens right away. It's amazing. Now, Infantry Shield does offer evasion in the form of Menace, but the funny thing is you don't even need the Menace, really, to get the tokens, because you don't even have to connect with the creature to get the tokens. You get them just from attacking. Now, the downside to Infantry Shield is that the tokens are going to go away, but they're not even going to go away at the end of combat. They're going to go away at the end of the turn. So you still have time to sacrifice them during your second main phase to an Ashnod's Altar or what have you to get value out of them, or a Goblin Bombardment. I mean, your options are wide open as far as what you want to use the tokens for. And if you've got some kind of thing to, in the turn, like Sundial the Infinite, well then you don't lose the creatures. You can just put the trigger on the stack at the beginning of the end step when you sacrifice them, and you just get to keep them. But I mean, even barring that, even if you're just using them to attack with them, deal damage, and then sacrificing your second main for value, I still think you're getting a good deal. The only way with this Infantry Shield pales in comparison to the others is that you're not able to amass a steadily larger and larger board turn after turn. But I don't think that's a problem at all, honestly. Like, I mean, well, look at Wand of Orcus, that's like a, what, $17, $18 card, $15 card maybe. And the Reaver Cleaver was $15, I know. Now I think it's probably down to 11 or 12 because it's gotten a few reprints, like in Modern Horizons 3 Commander. But those are both like $10+ cards. And in the case of the Reaver Cleaver, you're creating treasure tokens, which is nice. And the Wand of Orcus, you're creating 2/2 zombies. Like, you're getting bigger tokens with a Reaver Cleaver, and it does grant those tokens Death Touch, so I get why that is a big deal. The tokens are definitely more threatening than just, say, a 1/1 warrior like you'd get with the Infantry Shield. I'd rather have a 2/2 Death Touching zombie, sure. But the thing is, you still have to make that initial connect. Now, the wand does give the equipped creature Death Touch, so that does make it, a little more intimidating to block it. Presumably going to put on a creature with big power, so the Death Touch is a little redundant at that point because you're making the creature already huge, unless you've got some shenanigans with trample going on. Like if it's a big creature with trample and then you give it Death Touch and you just have to assign 1 point of combat damage and the rest will spill over. That's cool. But I think that barring that, all they have to do is just put a little creature in front of the equipped with the Wand of Orcus to chump block, and then you don't get any zombies. With all these other equipments that create tokens based on power, you are beholden to getting through for damage. With Infantry Shield, it doesn't matter. You just equip it and swing, and you get immediate value. It's awesome. I love it. And when I saw that it was selling for less than $1 when these decks came out, I was like, that is too low. And so I bought up dozens of these. was like, this is going up, and it has. Like within a week, it had gone from being less than $1 to over $5-6, and I honestly think it has room to grow beyond that, possibly. This is a really great card that I think a lot of people were sleeping on initially, and I don't know why you would just sell it for so low. I guess people just aren't evaluating cards like how I would, but I'll be sure to post any other cards that I would recommend speculating on in the future, because yeah, it's something of a hobby of mine, passion of mine for Magic cards. This is another one, the Steward of the Harvest. This is another one that I bought up a bunch of these because they were selling for $1.50, under $2 a copy for the card. And at first, I didn't expect this one to go up too high. It costs 4 mana, but being able to give all your creatures activated abilities of all land cards exile with it, it's a surprisingly powerful effect, and people do like making the most out of their utility lands. So this one also shot up to $5-6 is what it's sitting at right now. And these are just a couple of the cards I picked up several copies of from the new Dragonstorm Tarkir Commander decks. And pleased with both of them, actually. So yeah, I think that there's still room to grow, especially for the Infantry shield. I think that this could easily be a $10-12 card down the road. But yeah, it's just amazing given how expensive cards were that had similar effects to this. I was just shocked to see it was selling for so little at time of release. I guess I can go ahead and talk a little bit. There was some other big news today. The Unbans in Commander. Gifts Ungiven was unbanned. Sway the Stars, Braids, Cabal Minion, Coalition Victory, and Panoptic Mirror. Now, one thing I was able to do is I was able to grab like a dozen copies of Braids, Cabal Minion this morning. As soon as I saw the announcement, I was able to grab like 18 copies for 25 cents each from a seller, and so I was like, nice. And now, just within a few hours, the copy of Braids has gone from being a 25-cent card to like a $4 or $5 card. So that's another case of where the card just shoots up. Now, that was because of the unbanning, and people didn't react quickly enough. Whenever it comes time for surprise announcements like this, I usually tend to turn my online store off just because it's not worth the risk of missing out on something like that for a surprise announcement. Just shut your store off, wait till the dust settles, and then reprice all your items, and then turn it back on, because it's just not worth the risk of losing all the money of selling cards too cheaply. But yeah, I think I heard him say that they're not expecting any more changes to the ban list this year. So that's awesome. Should give us a little bit of stability. I did try to get in on the Gifts Ungiven, but I was too late. By the time I got there, a lot of them had been snapped up, and it jumped up to like $35-40. But now I think it's settled back around $15 for Gifts Ungiven. But this morning at like 10 o'clock, you could still find copies for like $2. So just shows how rapidly things can swing when it comes to stuff like this. I think a lot of people were expecting Panoptic Mirror to be unbanned because it had been slowly climbing for months. And it had gone from about $2 last year to closer to $8 before the card was unbanned. Not any really surprises. I think I was like Sway the Stars, Coalition Victory, and Panoptic Mirror. I definitely thought were going to be unbanned. I wasn't expecting Braids or Gifts Ungiven. Those were both kind of threw me a curveball. But I do think that those were good decisions. I'm glad they didn't unban Mana Crypt or Jeweled Lotus or Dockside Extortionist. Although I do think that they probably should unban Jeweled Lotus at some point, like next year. You know, I think enough time will have passed. We can unban one. I don't think all three should be unbanned. I think Dockside was a play mistake. It should have been like an on-cast trigger, or it should have been something. The way they had it worded, it was too oppressive. I mean, if for the same reason I don't think they'll ever unban Primeval Titan, for that same reason, because it just becomes a race to who can reanimate it and copy it the most, and just run away with resources. One thing that did surprise me, though, was the changes to the Gamechangers and how all of the new additions on there, Teferi's Protection, Humility, Narset Part of Veils, Intuition, Consecrated Sphinx, Necropotence, Orcish Bowmasters, Notion Thief, Deflecting SWAT, Gamble, Worldly Tutor, Crop Rotation, Seedborn Muse, Natural Order, Food Chain, Aura Shards, Field of the Dead, and Mishra's Workshop. 18 new additions to the Gamechangers, in addition to the unbanned cards that got brought back into the format. It really made me reflect on the whole bracket situation, because I've got commander decks, and I've tried to keep them in order as far as it goes. Like, well, for example, here's my Xyris deck. I put the Gamechangers on the back. And so I did have Ancient Tomb, Cyclonic Rift, and it was Rhystic Study, but I'm like, well, I guess I'll cut Rhystic Study for something else to keep Seedborn Muse, since that's now a Gamechanger. I think I probably just need to take the Ancient Tombs out of all of my decks, just because that's a Gamechanger. You can only have 3. And it really makes me wonder, is it worth trying to keep up with the Gamechangers if every time they're going to add a dozen more to it? Like, for example, our Rakdos deck, I went ahead and just cut all the Gamechangers from it to just make it bracket 2, technically. I did like the discussion of intent, of like, what's your intent with your commander deck, because, you know, I want to play a strong deck. Winota's a Gamechanger by herself, and so I've got Winota, Dranath Magistrate, Ancient Tomb, but then I'll probably need to cut one of these if I want to keep my Teferi's Protection in there, because that's a new addition to the Gamechanger list. As you see, I list the Gamechangers, and I also list what I have in terms of cards that let you tutor or search your deck, just so people have an idea of what the deck's about in terms of power. But yeah, it's been interesting to go through. So yeah, I just added Seedborn Muse onto here since that's there now. We have Ballista Citadel, Ancient Tomb, and it's really all about just this new direction for Commander, the new bracket system. And I've just really been wondering is, what do I want to do? Do I want to keep my decks where they are, try to keep up with the Gamechangers? Or is this just a sign that, hey, you may just need to cut out all the Gamechangers from your deck? Because it's not like there's a lack of cards. All my commander decks have pretty packed sideboards full of cards I could add. I could just take out all the Gamechangers, and I've got tons of cards waiting in the wings that could just go in there into all the decks. So, I don't know. It's something I've been thinking about. I might talk more about it in a future video. But, yeah, these are the main decks that I play with when it comes time for Commander. And I don't know, the Gamechangers list is like up to 60 cards now. My Norin deck, gone. But yeah, 62 cards, I think, something crazy like that. Like, I liked it when it was at 40. I've seen other people saying that they want the Game Changers, they want more Game Changers, they want 100 Game Changers on there. And I don't know. I liked Commander. I mean, that's what bracket 4 is for, I guess. It's you can just play whatever you want, as many Game Changers, it doesn't matter. It really does feel like the brackets, I think they help. I think it's better than the old system that we had. I just worry that we're turning Commander into, you know, just a different format than what it was before. I mean, we've got CDH, but we also have all of the brackets and other changes that comes with that. And I think people are going to have to make a decision of if they want to run the Game Changers, because I think your bracket 3 seems like... Bracket 3 doesn't seem like an eternal format like what Commander was supposed to be. Bracket 3 is starting to feel more and more like standard, to where you're rotating your Commander deck as more and more Game Changers are added, and you're constantly having to keep up with the list and to upgrade your deck. And so you've really got two choices. You either just say, well, I'm just never going to play any Game Changers, and if a new one is added that's in my deck, then that's as good as a ban, and you just take it out and just keep your decks at the level 2 power. Or the other option is you just stick with bracket 4 and just say, well, I'll just run whatever I want to run. Part of the thing that worries me about 4 is that, you know, then you open yourself up to stacks and fast men and mass land destruction and all the things that you don't see at the lower levels. And it's like, well, what if you want to run more than 3 Game Changers, but you don't necessarily want to be, you know, face down against a whole bunch of optimized decks? But thinking, I don't know, maybe what I want is optimization. Like, this is my equipment deck. It's trying to win with infinite combos with Basalt Monolith, reducing the cost of its activated ability with my companion here, and using my commander to copy artifacts, trying to mill yourself out. So I've got Enlightened Tutor, Ancient Tombs, Fairy's Protection. I also have quite a few tutors. I actually had to take out Urza's Saga from the deck, so that should not be there, because I realized that Urza's Saga by itself does not have an activated ability, which is what I would need for Zerda, because every card, it says each permanent card in your starting deck has an activated ability, and Urza's Saga does not. It gains an activated ability when you play it, but it does not have it inherent, and that's what's required in order to work. So yeah, this deck has enough tutors in it, and it's trying to win with infinite combos. So this one is probably a 4, and so I should probably just go in wild, just add more Game Changers, and just embrace the fact that it's a 4 that's trying to win with infinite combos and powerful interactions like that. Same thing with Winota. Like, it's... when your commander is a Game Changer, then you might as well just embrace it and just run everything you can. So, I don't know. I think I'll probably just split the difference. I think what can happen is all of these decks have 3 to 4 Game Changers in them currently, except for the Rakdos. That one has no Game Changers in it. So what I could probably do is just pick a few, like Winota, Osgir, just load them up with Game Changers, probably Xyris too. And then some other decks, like Rakdos, ones where the Game Changers aren't really critical to the deck strategy, just cut them. Just put in more synergistic cards that aren't Game Changers. And I'll probably do that. Probably try to have a mix of 2s and 4s, and probably not worry about 3 so much at all. And then that way the 2s and the 4s should both be able to play with a 3 deck But yeah, I don't know. Trying to keep up with having a bracket 3 deck just seems like more trouble than it's worth. Thanks for listening.